Mr. Speaker, the province says it has allocated $45 million for the cleanup of orphan mines in 2014-2015. Yet there is still no actual plan in place to remove acid tailings from the town of Lynn Lake itself.
They need a navigator.
The province is also denying that there are an increased number of cancer cases in Lynn Lake.
Yeah.
I asked the Premier, why in 15 years has there been so little progress? Why is the cleanup of Lynn Lake not happening or proceeding so slowly?
Because they don't care.
When the government says it has invested some money and when the health and lives of Manitobans are at stake.
I thank the member for the question. There never were any resources allocated to orphan mine cleanup until we came into office, put them on the books, and we have spent tens of millions of dollars every year cleaning up orphan mines in Manitoba with very significant progress. With respect to the issue raised, with respect to the issue that the member raises on the specific community of Lynn Lake, there is a group that is studying the specific epidemiological impact of cancer in that community. They are collaborating together to identify whether there are issues there that need to be addressed. Certainly the recommendations on cleaning up that orphan mine are followed based on professional advice. We want to ensure that orphan mines are dealt with in such a way that communities are safe, and there is a group of healthcare professionals in collaboration with the local people looking at the incidence of cancer in that area and whether there are a higher rate of cancer incidence in that area that need to be addressed and whether there's a link to the orphan mine, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, peatlands have been scientifically proven to be an invaluable component of the environment and the economy. They filter out water pollutants, they aid in flood protection, and do all sorts of things that are good. In 2009, the Premier announced that his NDP government would implement a provincial boreal peatland strategy. Yet 5 years later, this government still has not released this strategy. Was the 2009 press release just a photo op before the Copenhagen summit and ultimately just another broken NDP promise?
They need a peatland.
No, it's time this NDP government takes Manitoba's environment seriously. Will the Premier table the boreal peatland strategy today? If not, why not?
Thank the member for the question. It is true that we, in 2009, took action to reduce the amount of peat mining occurring in the province of Manitoba, and there have been many follow-ups since. The member is correct in asking for where the overall strategy is. I ask him to stay tuned. That strategy is imminent, Mr. Speaker. As a matter of fact, we will be doing much more, both legislatively to protect peat in Manitoba. There will be some very significant changes which protect that valuable resource for all the reasons the member from River Heights indicated. It does filter water, it does store carbon, not only for Manitobans, but for all the citizens of the planet. It is a very important resource, and it will be appropriately protected in Manitoba, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, we heard that word imminent 5 years ago. We're still waiting.
Imminently.
Mr. Speaker, today being Global Earth Day, this NDP government should ensure Manitoba waters are well looked after. This applies whether we're considering the waters in regions where there are old mine sites, or indeed in areas where the government may allow new peat mines. And yet the budget this year for water stewardship was reduced by more than 10%. I ask the government and the Premier,
because he can't manage.
When will his government adequately fund the stewardship of our waters?
Mr. Speaker, there's about $1 billion of investment being leveraged to protect Lake Winnipeg. That's the most significant investment in the history of the province, and a good deal of that investment is related to infrastructure, better sewer, cleaner water, stronger regulations with respect to septic fields, the Save Lake Winnipeg Act, which focuses on point-specific and non-point specific phosphorus drainage into Lake Winnipeg. Those measures are being put into place and have been put into place by regulations and law. There's new experiments being done with respect to cattails and the role they can play in attracting and retaining phosphorus in the lakes and then allowing it to be recycled, Mr. Speaker. So we have tough laws, we have investments in research, we have more investments in infrastructure, and all of those are intended to protect clean water in Manitoba, Mr. Speaker. Clean water in Manitoba, and in particular, a healthy Lake Winnipeg.